What up, brothers, and welcome back to my channel for tonight's budget review. And by that I mean it's a lower end figure, fresh off the back of the Good, the Bad and the Ugly figures that I reviewed, which were a joy to review. And although I've had a lot of mixed feedback, mainly through Sideshow Freaks, I do stand by what I said in that review, and if you haven't watched it, please check it out. Now this is the other end of the scale basically. I think this figure sells for about £80 on 16Bruce. Go and check that out. And as you can see, it is the unlicensed version of It Girl from Kick-Ass 2, although it is actually called the Playtoy P002 Purple Girl. Right, so we'll roll right in and do the source material. I'll start off by saying that this figure actually comes from Kick-Ass 2, and I haven't seen it. I haven't seen any of it. I've possibly seen a couple of trailers or bits of trailers, but I've never seen the full film, which is quite strange because I have seen the first one and I really enjoyed it. And I will say that I thought It Girl from the first one was possibly the standout character. I do think the over violence were quite refreshing in these superhero films, although a little bit unexpected, I'll be honest. I think the overuse of swearing, it bothered me. I'm not used to that sort of foul language, but no, obviously bullshit. I found that it fit in really well with the film, and with the oversaturation of the superhero films that we've all seen, I just think this were really refreshing. And yeah, did enjoy it. So because I haven't seen the second one, I'm going to take the character, sort of the character from the first film into account. And the film as a whole, I suppose, I would probably go straight down the middle and give it a 3 out of 5. Not really much I can really elaborate on because I can't really tell you about scenes from the second film. I've not seen it. What I will say though is the source material is not 100% captured from the picture I've seen, but that will become clearer when I get onto the likeness and probably the outfit. But like I said, just starting off on the source material, I would give the character probably, I could have gone down to a 2 maybe, but I'll be generous and give it a 3 out of 5. Just to show you around, pretty much straight up and down pose. Got the blade sort of to a side, the throwing knives in the pockets, 2 pistols on her hips. And like I said, straight up and down. I am using the snake eye stand again because this figure didn't come with one. I'll cover that obviously in the extras, but I just wanted to show you how I've got it set up now. Right, quickly rolling over packaging because there's not a great deal to cover, but I do want to do it, and I do want to cover it quite in depth just to sort of prove a point I was making on the I'm Enemy figures. A lot of people are saying I shouldn't have criticised the box because I should have expected that sort of thing, but I just wanted to show that even an £80 figure, and it's unlicensed, and obviously I know it's not handmade and everything like the I'm Enemy stuff is, but they still produce a better looking box and more functional. So just to show you, the standout thing on the front is obviously the sort of the cartoon version of It Girl. They're very clever not to really show the initials on the front, so she is actually called Purple Girl according to the company by Playtoy. The serial number, you'll see there's no other graphics on the front than that. Same on the side, other than the company name obviously. It is totally unlicensed. A nice shot on the back, again, gives you an idea who the character is inside, and obviously the warnings down there. Then on the other side, obviously again, just the Playtoy logo. The point I was making with the I'm Enemy boxers compared to even this, which is like, what am I Enemy were £330 each. This is £80 I think, so what we're looking at, £250 difference. This is a point I was making. Even a figure at this price point does come with the foam trays or layers, and they are all laser cut to fit all the accessories that come with this figure, so nothing is rolling about when you get it. That was the point I was making. You see, the figure fits inside there, nothing rammed in. It's only a smallish box compared to the usual Hot Toys or Enterbase that we would see, and I don't imagine the cost of making a box like that would be too high. And I know people are going to keep coming back to the same point, because the sculpt costs so much, because the clothes cost so much, then they can't spend the money on the bodies in the box. Maybe so, but I don't know, something better I would say. But like I said, this box is what it is. It is quite presentational, although not the best quality, I would have to say. And like I said, the lack of the official license does hinder the artwork a little bit. But I would still be honest and go straight down the middle and give it a 3 out of 5. Right, moving on to likeness. Before we go on to that, I'll just show you the pose. Got it pretty much spinning into action. Rotation through her legs and hips. The cape's coming round. As you can see, it's wired, but I'll cover that on the outfit. Her hair down this side, sweeping round, and her hair on that side, sweeping back. So you've got some rotation going on, as you can see. I don't know what name of them weapons you got. It's sort of a split spear with the metallic ends. Excuse me. First off, I think probably the question everybody's already thinking, how would she compare to the either Hot Toys, Catwoman or Black Widow? Well, I can't compare her to Black Widow now because I haven't got her sold her. I do think that Catwoman's better than Black Widow anyway, and to be honest, this, I don't know if I'd go as far as say it's not in the same league, but I don't know, it's good, but it's a lot more subtle, if that makes sense. I'm just showing you, like, where the lips, they probably are the right colour, and the skin tone is pretty good. If I look at Catwoman, again, the lips are a little bit more striking, possibly a little bit cleaner. The eyes a little bit more eye-catching, I suppose. But to say both figures are masked, I think the eyes do come across really well still. So it's not a million mile off, but it's just a little bit more Barbie-esque than I would say Hot Toys female would be. I will also say as well, there is quite a big difference between the Hot Toys hair, which is really fine and flows quite nicely, a lot better than I thought it would before I got Catwoman, where this one is a little bit more like doll's hair. Now, I will also say in this figure's defence, that could possibly be to do with the colour. Obviously, it's not a natural looking colour, so your eye is automatically drawn to it, more so than Catwoman's brunette hair, so I could take that into account. But what I would say is, sort of this section here, the fringe, as we would call it in England, there's an awkward looking split in the middle of the fringe. Now, I think that fringe should be completely full, but because the hair is a little bit more coarse, a little bit more wiry, it is hard to get that fringe to sort of come back together. And I don't know if that's to do with the plastic wrap that were around the head in the packaging, it sort of warped it over to that side, or if that's just how it's plugged. But it's not really. The biggest difference between the Hot Toys head and this head is the quality of the hair. I hope that makes sense. This is somewhere caught between cheap doll's hair and Hot Toys hair, so I'll try and make that point. Although I'll show you around it, and it's not all frizzy and horrible. It does look good, and I think the hair colour is pretty accurate. So it's not bad, and it's definitely not terrible, but it's possibly not Hot Toys quality, which is understandable. It's not Hot Toys price point, so that makes sense. Just moving away again, give you a look at the pose. Don't quite like that pose. It does look like she's proper moving. So I have gone back and checked stills, because this girl now has aged by probably 4 or 5 years from the last time I saw her, which would have been in Kick-Ass 1. I think she does resemble how she looks in Kick-Ass 2, but it's not a dead-on likeness, so to speak. You would know, but obviously you're going to know because of the purple outfit and the purple hair and the mask. You're going to know it's meant to be. But if you took the mask off and changed the hair colour, would you say, oh, that's so-and-so from Kick-Ass 2? I can't even remember actress's name, which is fucking shit to me. I'm falling down the leagues, the reviewer league, so to speak. I should know her name. But like I say, it's good enough. And for this price point, I certainly wouldn't complain about it. I think this figure would be a dead cert for any massive fan of the film, or a young collector who's just starting out and wants to fill the cabinets a little bit quick, sort of thing. I think it would be a nice figure to pick up, because it's sort of base level, affordable, I suppose, and like I say, it's not a million miles away from where the collection will be heading to, which would probably be Hot Toys. But On the likeness, I've got to be honest and say, like I said before, without the hair colour and the mask, I don't think you would know who the actress were. So for that reason, I'm only going to give the likeness a 2. Put the hair back on, put the mask on, then I think you would know instantly who it were meant to be. So it's a funny one to score, but I've got to be honest and say it's not so much the strength of the sculpt and the paintwork that the likeness is recognisable. It's more to do with sort of the mask and the hair and then the outfit below that. So like I said, trying to be fair and give it a 2 out of 5 for likeness. And that would obviously be a without the mask. Like I said, it is pretty nice, but it's not amazing. It's never going to win fucking head sculpt of the year or paint job of the year. But like I said, put the mask on, do the hair correctly, and you've got a nice looking head sculpt that is recognisable. I'll just show you if I can. I wanted to show you a section of her hair that's sort of... Sorry about this, all fingers and thumbs. Around her hair, like I said, there, can you see? There is sort of a band of like a bald scalp. That's where the strap from the mask goes. So like I say, you're better off pulling the head off, putting it up from the bottom, like sort of hooking it over her nose and then bringing the strap up, pulling that section of hair down through the elastic and then laying that back down. That is the best way I've found to do it. I can't demonstrate it because my tripod's up here and I can't be fucking bothered to be running about. I'm getting hot under these lights and a little bit agitated. But that is the head sculpt without, and obviously you can tidy her fucking hair up because she looks shit at the minute. Like I say, she's not a bang-on likeness, but I don't know, keep coming back to the price point, and I think she is pretty nice. And I will say as well, she has got nice, subtle paintwork about her. Right, rolling on to the outfit, and I've got to say straight out of the box, this is one that I was really pleasantly surprised about for a few reasons. Because when I looked at the pictures, in all honesty, I thought, cheap, cheap, cheap. That were the first things that kept popping in my head, and I thought, that is how it's going to be. When I took it out and started moving it around, I thought, I was wrong. It's not. It doesn't feel cheap at all, really. It's, again, not in Black Widow or Catwoman's league, so to speak. The material is very different. But I will say, it never hinders the posability, and there's a lot to like about it and only a couple of things to dislike. So let's crack on and talk about what I like about it. So firstly, I will show you the black cape that is purple lined and is a right touch, and by a right touch I mean touch of genius, or I really like it. I think they've done really good work, because it is wired, obviously, else I'd never be able to do that. It's weighted correctly, the scale is really good, and it just attaches like this. And I don't fuck about with thing. Like that, and like that. Simple. There's 2 magnets there, and they're strong as fuck. I've been posing this figure now for about an hour, and it's never fell off once on either side. And then inside her outfit, sort of there and there, are 2 pieces of metal, obviously. Now, when the cape's not on, you don't see them. So I just think it works really well. And like I say, because the cape is not too heavy or too thick, look how it just holds like that. Imagine a Batman with a cape like that, or a Superman that came like that, or Thor with a cape like that, Hot Toys. Imagine it. Imagine if you could do that. Oof. Wouldn't the world be a better place? So that covers that. The outfit in general is kind of like Hawkeye's trousers, which I wish they would use more of for these superhero outfits, because it feels durable yet pliable or flexible, and it doesn't hinder the pose. I will say, if you were to compare it to the Catwoman has a really rubberized feeling to it, and also the Black Widow has like a smooth feeling, really fine rubber. This doesn't feel like that at all. It feels more like Lycra, but it's not like Lycra as in it gets bent out of shape and that sort of thing. It's, like I said, if you've got the Hawkeye, feel his trousers and you'll have a good idea of what you're working with. It does have a functioning zip. The pads on the shoulder and on the elbows and knees are plastic, not rock hard plastic, but it does hold its shape very well. Pretty much the same material they use for the hands and the boots. So when you're moving it around, they never feel like they're getting unglued like I've had before with some Hot Toys figures, and they're never in the way, and I really like that about it. So yeah, I think as well, like I said, getting back to the accuracy, I think the design is pretty accurate to the movie. It's just the colour is slightly off, I think. This is more a lilac colour, where I think the outfit is more like her hair from the pictures I've seen. So, yeah. I will say as well, their hands, them, eye mini-me, and look how they hold that gun. They fit round it, and they pop on and off really nicely, even though they're using tiny little hand pegs. So, I just make that point clear, because some companies can't gear hands that will hold the pistols that they supply, but Playtoy can, I'm glad to see, and they don't charge you for it, so that is a nice touch by them. Moving down, one thing I'm not really keen on, the quality of the belt. In fact, I'm not saying I'm not keen on it, it's shit basically. It's that faux leather and it's that really cheap shitty feeling, pretty much like Blondie's boots and Angel Eyes boots. Can you see where it's like black faux leather on the outside, but then that white sort of hatch stuff on the inside, but you can only see it sort of on the loops, you can't see the inside of the belt. I also don't like how the holsters work, although it is pretty accurate, because you pretty much just tuck the gun down inside there, so I'm not keen on that. The fabric on the skirt is pretty good, although I think it is slightly too short, meaning that you can't get it to sort of do the rah-rah style effect where it would be flowing out a little bit more than that. So yeah, I'm not too keen really. The belt in particular, but the skirt as well, could probably do with being half a centimetre longer. This is pretty accurate, and I don't know how they got away with it, obviously because they don't have the licence, and particularly because she's called Purple Girl, but I dare say the licensees aren't checking. Moving down as well, I do like these. They do hold the blades really well, but I've got to say the stitch is very, very crude and very low end, I would say. So, yep. And that is on both sides, obviously. Moving down, like I said, same material on the legs. It is all one piece. The supple plastic on the knees, and down to the sculpted boots, which I would say obviously are low end as well, although you can get some articulation or rotation through the ankles, but not too much pivot, dip and that sort of thing. Like I said, pretty basic with the boots would be the kindest way I could describe it. But all in all, it does look really nice, and like I say, the further you stand back and you get it posed up nice, you're not really going to notice the nitpicks that I've mentioned. Now, the one nitpick that I felt a little bit awkward telling you about, but for the sake of it, I'm going to just move that arm down. Right, I'm hoping that this lass is now over 16, because I don't want to sound like a fucking pedo saying this. One of the downsides to it, and probably you would notice if you've got Catwoman in hand or Black Widow, they're very female shaped. They've got the contours of the breast and the hips and the arse sort of thing. This one has got it on the body, and I don't want to look like I'm touching her up, but because inside the outfit, where all these pieces of material sort of converge, there's a messy looking lump here, or sort of, it looks more like a bag of fucking grapes than a set of tits, to be honest. That's probably the simplest way I can put it. And she also looks very girlish and flat-chested, and I know that might be the case, and like I said, I don't want to sound like a fucking kiddie fiddler saying it, but like I said, I know that's the fault of where the inner stitching is on the outfit, that you just get a funny lumpy looking chest. So obviously I've got to mention that when I do the outfit as well. But like I said, all in all, I was pleasantly surprised. The cape is a right touch, the outfit is better than I expected, there is a few little niggles, but all in all, it's really nice. If they'd have used better quality materials, I could have bumped the score right up, but it is no way bad. So I am going to give it, again, a 3 out of 5. I think. Moving on to the articulation. And this one were also an interesting one for me, because when you get used to the Hot Toys style bodies, you sort of compare everything to them, I suppose, because with Hot Toys you sort of get the functionality in general, not on every figure, but you do get the functionality, but you also feel the quality in your hand. Some of these smaller companies or custom companies, you don't know what you're getting until you get it, so to speak. So when Wyman said to me, do you fancy reviewing this figure? My automatic response is, yeah, it'd be interesting to see it, but it might not be very good. But I've got to say, again, really impressed. And I've got to say, it holds a pose and poses as well as Catwoman, if Catwoman weren't restricted slightly by her outfit. I would love actually to see what Dean Knight could do with this figure, because Dean Knight at the moment has got a lot of Catwoman figures in his collection. And I will say, although I'm proud of a lot of the poses I pull off, I do think that Dean Knight has got the feminine pose down to a fine art. He is probably the best poser of the female figures that I've seen. So I would like to see what he can do with this. But I've pretty much put her into this quite a spread pose, just to show that the articulation really isn't hindered and the body is nice. Right, first thing I want to mention, sort of the cut, the top of the neck into the ball joint. That is the messiest joint on the body, and I don't know, I don't know how to fucking explain this and be fair and also make the point I want. Because of the hairstyle, I let the figure off, so to speak. If the hair were tucked up, very much like the Lucy Liu figure, then I would find that joint very messy. Or if it was the Catwoman and the joint was as messy as that, then I'd be a little bit reluctant to let it off because of the price point of the figure. But I keep coming back to, the figure is only £80, and the bobbed haircut pretty much covers it anyway, so I find it hard to really pull it down on that. Moving down, the torso, body section, whatever you want to call it, feels rubberized underneath. It does lack an ab crunch area, so that is pretty much why the lean in the body sort of goes round like that. There's no sort of obvious way that you could crunch her forward, so to speak, and I think that's probably because of the use of the rubber, because the rubber sort of feels like it goes from the neck right down into the sort of groin area. So that might be why there's no feel of a crunch. The shoulders move smoothly and hold really well. Same with the double bend elbows. The hands pop on and off really nicely. The hands are that soft rubberized material, so they do grip the peg really well. It will go to a tight bend, as you can see. Like I said, the elbow pad doesn't hinder it. And coming down, the hips will do a really nice split, as you can see. Double bend on the knee, and again, the knee pad doesn't hinder it. As you can see, got a pretty tight bend there, and then dipping down, dropping the knee down there, and around to a foot. Obviously, the ankle is hindered because it is a one-piece boot sculpt, so bear that in mind also. Like I said, feels a lot better than I expected, and at this price point, I'm thinking, where did they get a body as good as that without pushing the price up? A couple of people might know what I'm getting at with that statement, but it obviously is doable. Some will turn around and say, well, they make 10,000 that figure. To that, it don't make no fucking difference to me. It's all about the profit margins, and nobody mentions that. It's all about how much they want to make from a run of figures. That's all it comes down to. And people backing the company or being the American office runner or manager of that company can tell you everything they want. You just fucking draw your own conclusions. But anyway, I digress. So like I said, there's not really any pose I've tried to get where it's been fucking me about and not doing what I wanted it to do. So I'm going to give it a 4. Like I said, I think if I were to strip it down, it wouldn't be the Hot Toys body, and I don't know if it will last as long as an Hot Toys body. I don't know, because it is like a borrowed figure. I don't know. The neck joint is a little bit messy, but if you position the hair right, you can get around that. Like I said, everything, all the points I've made brings me to the conclusion that it would be worth a 4 out of 5. Right, rolling on to extras, and I'll do value and I'll do sum it up, because I want to make this pretty quick and a shortish review, because I think, because it's not by a company that people would be familiar with, or maybe even a character that people would want to see, I get a funny feeling that the views will be quite low. So if I make it shortish, people would probably have no excuse of at least checking it out. But anyway, I'll show you the pose. Looking pretty sweet, if I do say so myself. She's got one of her throwing knives up, the cape's holding itself out. She's just pretty much straight up and down. And I do think the smile on the face as well sort of sets that pose off really nicely. But anyway, what does she come with? Obviously, in the box, the mask is separate, the cape is separate, and I've showed you how to take that on and off, and is a really nice touch. The throwing knives, of which she has 6, and there's one on ground, so I'll show you that in more detail. Moving down, you have to put the skirt on also, and it has sort of the knife holders and also the holster, which, like I said before, doesn't really work for me. It's not, they just feel like they're sort of just slipped in there kind of thing. This sort of suspender design, which you have to put on. And then moving down, she doesn't come with a stand, so that's a big no-no for me, because that means you've got to then go and get a generic stand, get some decals done. You're looking at probably £6 for a stand, £4 odd for decals, so another tenner on top, which, like I say, it is what it is. If they don't want to put them in, then obviously we've got to take that into account, and we will sort of drop the extra score fair and square. Moving down, she comes with these 3 ammo pouches, which do go on the belt, but to be honest, I just couldn't be arsed to undo the belt and take it all back off to put them on. And also, I will say, there's no ammo inside. They are just made to look like there's something inside them. So, I don't know, bit of a cheap extra, but I suppose for the accuracy, you would put them on. Moving down to the 2 pistols, as you see, I have the purple hand grip, which I think sets them off quite nicely. That is the pistol closed, and then I thought I'd display one sort of cocked and, well, the slide pulled back and the clip out, so just to show that there is movement. The sort of grapple hook and rope just come with that. I've not untied that because I just think I wouldn't want to pose it with that anyway. 6 hands, so she would have the pistol right and left, the fist right and left, and then the sort of the hand that would hold the spears and also hold the throwing knives. Again, it is a metal throwing knife, and there are 6 of them which do fit in the pouches. Not super detailed, but serve a purpose. Nice and shiny, I suppose. Quite a nice look. And then the biggest niggle for me on the extras is the spears, because you're pretty much supposed to shove that into there, but it won't go in. We are warming this piece up and sort of ramming that in or gluing it in. It won't go in. That's why I've not used the spear on this review as a complete piece. And also, both ends do this. Pick it up like that, watch. Just falls out. Simply because the hole on that end is too big. And you're saying, well, why don't you put the nipple from the other end into that? Because that's the size of the hole on that end, and that end is even bigger. So, and you're probably thinking, does it only do it on that one? No. Watch. So, don't like that hole. If it were my figure, I would just glue them in, because there's no point in being separate, really. You might as well make a complete piece, or at least make the hole fit that, and then glue the metal into the handles. The handles are very, very cheap, and the metal as well is quite cheap feeling. It's not like the Predator blades from Hot Toys, but at least it is metal, so I'll give them credit for that. So all in all, the extras are what they are. They're just pretty much box fillers and stuff that she would wear anyway, so I can't give it a massive score. There's no separate head, although you could display it differently by taking the mask off. No stand. The extras are a little bit poor quality, but like I say, again, I'm coming back to the price point, and I don't know, fair's fair. I'm still only going to give the extras a 2 out of 5, which, I don't know. I think it's fair. Like I say, if somebody could say, I don't know, you've underscored it because there seems quite a lot there. There is quite a lot there, but if it were all that there but better quality, then I would bump the score up, but it is what it is. Value. Now, like I said at the beginning, this figure is £80, I think, and then obviously you had shipping, maybe 85. I can't fully remember, but it's in that price point anyway, which is, let's call that half for an Hot Toys figure. I think Catwoman were about 160 quid, and I don't even think you could get Catwoman for that price now. So is she half as good as Catwoman?
Fair enough, there's no license, so I know there's no money going there, but I'm basically working out as simple as I can. For half the price, is she half as good? No, she's better than half as good, if that makes sense. If Catwoman were a fucking 10, then she'd be a 7.5. I hope that means she's like 3/4 as good. And that's fucking simple math for you, but it's sort of trying to prove the point I'm going to make. I wouldn't lie and say, oh, yeah, it's as good as Catwoman and Sarah Connor and this female figure and Gamora and this one and that one. It's not the case. But bear in mind, she's only half the price. That's what I'm saying. On the price, I don't think the value will go anywhere. Maybe it'll even fall down. So I can't even take into account the sort of investment value. So value-wise, because she's low-end to start with, and she is a nice surprise of a figure, I'm going to give the value a 3 out of 5. That gives her a total score of 20 out of a possible 35. Now, any of them people who've transferred over from Sideshow Freaks, I'm saying, you fucking idiot. You give Blondie a 19 and you've given her a fucking 20. Well, that's because my scoring is fair. If you were to say to me which one would I sooner have in my collection, I'd take Blondie every day at fucking week and twice on a Sunday. Blondie is an awesome figure, but Blondie could be a totally amazing figure. That is the point. I score the figures as I see them, sort of thing. Some will get good scores for boxers, but shit source material. Some will get awesome source material, but bad likeness. That's why I score them, to emphasise my point and also to keep it fair, regardless if the figure costs £2,000 in the Jimi Hendrix case or fucking £80 in this figure's case. I try and be as fair as I can, and people can't say I'm not honest. If anything else, they can fucking criticise my accent, they can criticise me swearing, but they can't ever, ever, ever say that I haven't been honest about a figure. Now, if Wyman doesn't sell this figure because I haven't reviewed it well enough, then so be it. But I would sooner him lose that sale, but me have the fucking integrity to say I called that figure as I saw it, and Wyman knows that, and he supports my idea. He never tells me what to say or think, Rick, I've got 10 of them fuckers in stock. Fucking push them as well as you can, tell everybody they're amazing, because I'd send the figure back and say, Wyman, I would sooner not review it, pal. So, and that is the honest truth. And like I say, I'm glad I did this figure to back up the iMini-Me figures, because like I say, I made a lot of points and people say, well, you're doing it for effect, Rick should stick to mass-produced figures. Some might think that, but I would say I'm more than qualified to review everything I say. But sometimes as well, I've got to say to the viewers, just because my opinion doesn't always match yours doesn't make me wrong and you right. It don't mean I'm attacking your figures, it just means I'm calling it as I see it. And like I said, because I'm not sponsored and because nobody pays my bills other than me, I don't have to suck up to anybody, and I don't have to sell anybody's products, and I don't have to make allegiances and alliances. I could have pissed a lot of my friends off with that iMini-Me review, and I'm thinking of guys like Wyman himself, Stiff Richards, Vic, who is Raider in NY, Darth Magnus, Michael, others, Nene, who is a very, very good friend of mine. I could have pissed them off more than anybody because they are custom figure collectors and they spend a lot of money, and I'm sure they're proud of their collections. But them guys, I will say, are all big enough and man enough to say, yeah, you're entitled to your opinion. I'm not going to fall out with you. I do agree with some points, but I don't agree with others. But them people that will fucking blindly, not attack me, because no fucker attacks me, but will blindly defend a product and sort of say, yeah, when it gets here, I expect to put new hands on, or I expect to swap the body out. For them, I would say, well, you're a fucking fool then, because you've just paid $1,500 or £1,000 for a set of 3 figures that you're now going to have to finish off yourself. And for that, I would say, why accept it? Have the balls to say, yeah, I want to buy that figure, Denny, and I like your work, and I appreciate the licenses you put out, but you give me a substandard body. Fair enough, some people tell you they're not charging you for it, but I would say, I want that figure, and I'll be honest, I want the Goodfellas figures, but first I won't pay $1,500, and secondly, if I do stump up the money to get the head and clothes set, I won't be buying one of them cheap shit-ass bodies. I would sooner Denny get sick of hearing my fucking voice and say, oh, fuck this, let's chuck in a true type, or let's fucking contribute to a true type, or whatever, or at least change the hands. Like I said, the boxing, I don't give a fuck, because
if it held the figure, if it held the components correctly, then I wouldn't have a problem really with the box. It is bland, but it serves a purpose. It's functional, but it's not presentational. That is the point I'm making. But like I say, when it's not functional and it's not fucking presentational because it don't hold the things, then I've got a right to say, hold on, you might as well have put this in a fucking back of a Tonka truck and fucking remote controlled it to me. That's the point I was making. But anyway, I digress again. My blood's still boiling a little bit on the good, the bad and the ugly figures. But again, thanks to Wyman, thanks to you guys for sticking with me. All the new subscribers, welcome. Thanks for liking, sharing, commenting on my videos. I do appreciate you more than you'll know. And like I said, my channel is doing as well better now than I've ever done before. I've said before, and I'm not blowing my own horn, even if I don't put a review up, I'm still getting about 5,000 views overnight, which fucking amazes me, because I think, even myself, I don't think I'm that interesting, but the figures are coming from somewhere, and I think to myself, I've got to respect you guys, because you make it all worthwhile for me. But for now, this is Uncle Clipper, or Reviewer King, or Rick, or whatever you want to call me, and I'm out of here.